So Razer got a brand new weapon that's easy access for you free-to-play players out there this patch in 1.2, the Snow-Tombed Starsilver. Is it going to be his best weapon? Should you be spending everything to level this up, even if you have other things like the prototype weapon? We're going to be getting into that and showing you the math on top of that, as well as always we do on the channel. But in addition to that, in case you don't know what's going on, you just started 1.2, the Snow-Tombed Starsilver is an extremely powerful weapon for physical damage carries, and one of the best ones in the game is going to be our boy Razer here. So what does this weapon do? It does give physical damage bonus as its primary stat there. It also is the same sort of weapon archetype as the prototype Claymore. They do both share the highest base attack among 4-star Claymores in the game. They also share a very similar effect with their proc. They both have additional procs that can proc and do AoE physical damage. Yes, the Snow-Tombed Starsilver's proc is physical damage. It is not cryo damage. It does get a damage bonus if the enemies are afflicted with cryo, which is what you're trying to do with this weapon, but it does do physical damage in and of its own right. One small tiny nuance difference between the two procs here is that the prototype weapon is a 15-second cooldown on its proc and never hits 100% chance to proc, whereas the Snow-Tombed Starsilver, if you're refining it, it's going to do up to a 100% proc rate on its proc, and the cooldown on it is every 10 seconds. So you can get 3 procs in 30 seconds from the Starsilver and 2 procs in 30 seconds from the prototype weapon, which is going to lend credence to this weapon being that much stronger. Now, artifact selection that you can use for Razer, as always, you're going to be using something that boosts your normal attack or your charge attack damage, and this is going to be coming from primarily, a lot of you guys out there, the Gladiator set. Another set that you can utilize, especially if you have Razer with the proper supports, you can actually use the good old, you know what we're about to talk about here because we're talking about barriers. You can use the good old Retracing Bolide set for 40% more normal and charge attack damage there. On top of that, guys, remember, and just to show you, the proc from this weapon is in fact going to be not frost damage, it's going to be physical damage. When that icicle dropped, it's doing fizz damage there. So keep that in mind as well. Why is this guy so mean to me? Why is the grass got to burn all of the time? So keep that in mind as well. Now, to move into more, which one's better? Show me the math, show me the power behind what's going on here. Here we go, a little bit of math for you guys. We're going to be comparing these two weapons in a couple different scenarios, and we're going to see which one reigns supreme for you, if you have the option to choose between two, or if you should let one go and use the other one. So they both have the same amount of base attack at level 90, 565 attack. Razer's base attack is 234, and you're going to get an additional 311 flat attack from the feather. Everything else from this setup is going to be the same. The main thing that changes is their proc, with the proc rate and proc damage, as well as the attack percent that the prototype weapon gives and the bonus physical damage that the Starsilver gives. It gives 34.5% physical damage at level 90, whereas the prototype gives you 27.6% attack at level 90. Now, the other things that we can see here, this is level 90, and we have with substat bonus, as well as with the Bennett bonus, in case you're wondering about what your Razer is going to look like if you're using Bennett. This is a decently high level Bennett. He's giving you like 700, 750 attack during his elemental burst there. So you can see the prototype is always having higher attack, 1700 attack, 1900 attack, 2852 attack, versus the Starsilver's 1482, 1682, 2632 attack. Now, the damage bonus, the physical damage bonus for the prototype weapon is always 116%, and the physical damage bonus for the Starsilver is 151.1% there. You can see they're extremely similar in damage between the two for their physical damage. Literally, the prototype is just slightly worse than the Starsilver all the way through. For a 1-point times mod, we're using the same mod for all of these calculations here. Before defense and resistances, raw damage, prototypes slightly behind the Starsilver. However, remember, the procs are different here for both of the weapons. You do get 3 procs, right? An extra proc on the Starsilver per 2 procs on the prototype weapon here. And that's where you start to do a lot more damage with the Starsilver procs, because you can see with the Bennett bonus, 4,163 damage just from the proc alone per second there. And then you have 3,460 with the Bennett bonus from the prototype weapon there. But do keep in mind what you gain in the proc damage here. And this is assuming that you're really good at the game, guys, and you can land those damage bonus with the Starsilver on an enemy with cryo. So you're gonna have to run in there and you're gonna have to continually get in there and make sure that you're putting on cryo every time you want to proc this thing. Every time you want to proc this thing, you got to put on cryo, walk up, make sure it procs while cryo's on. If someone's burning, if you hit someone with lightning, if you're ulting with Razor, that's not going to work for you, and you're going to lose a massive amount of damage there, because that proc grows by like 3.5, 4 times more damage between whether the enemy has cryo or not. And that's going to really kind of be a drain. It's almost impossible to say that you guys are going to be able to do that every single time with Razor. And then on top of that, remember, this is physical damage only. Razor does primarily do physical damage, but he also does do some supplementary lightning damage. If you have your elemental skill use every once in a while, you want to use that on cooldown because it's free damage. Your elemental bursts up with your big bad boy wolf coming out and doing elemental damage that way. You're not gaining damage with the Starsilver on. The physical damage bonus does not apply to any of that other element damage that you do. So keep that in mind as well. And with these things being this neck and neck close together, it's pretty much whatever one fits your playstyle. It doesn't really matter. If you don't have the prototype Claymore, right, you crafted the white blinder using Noel. If you don't have access to it, those plans and recipes are extremely rare, right? Like, if they feel like they never show up, they might not even exist for some players out there. Get the Starsilver. It's going to be extremely strong. Just make sure you try to get in there and get those procs on cryo enemies, and it's going to be a very fantastic weapon for you. In addition to that, the more physical damage that you are able to do under Superconduct, the more damage you're going to be doing with your physical damage in comparison to your electro damage from his E, from his elemental burst wolf, all of that different stuff. So keep that in mind. Razor, very strong character. Some other stuff that you might want to think about, right, when building Razor. What sort of team members are you using with him? I really do love, if you have access to, you need to use a Superconduct team. If you're just looking into Razor, you just got access to him. Don't use this guy though. Do not use this guy. It's going to ruin all your damage. It's a terrible friend, right? He's going to make all of your damage cryo damage instead of physical damage. What you're looking for though is someone like Diona as your cryo character, someone like Kea as your cryo character, someone like Chi-Chi as your cryo character, if you have access to that. I love Diona with him, because with him you can just go into Diona, you can use the long skill, swap over, and he's gonna have this long lasting barrier. This is the team that I've been using. I'm working on my Razor, obviously. I use Razor and then I use Xinyan. Once Diona's barrier is gone, I go into Xinyan's barrier. Her barrier gives physical damage up, so that's going to be even more damage that Razor's doing there. And then you bring Bennett for the ×2 pyro bonus for 25% free attack, and then you have his ult that also supports him, heals him on the field while your barriers are down, lets him do more bonus damage, and your barriers just come back in, and you swap around and you do the gladiator set. And that's something that you really want to think about. I think this is probably one of, if not his best team that you could throw together. All of the damage bonuses, all of the defensive ultimates you can use. Bennett heals you with his ult, Diona heals you with her ult, barrier from Xinyan, barrier from Diona. Very strong stuff, extremely powerful. You have access to Superconduct between the electro skills from Razor, the cryo skills from Diona. You really need to check that out if you're working on a Razor team. If you could swap in Diona for Kea, even if you don't have her, right, because you already have heals from Bennett. You could swap Diona for Chi-Chi if you want to, because you just want more ways to proc that Superconduct. So keep Superconduct up and do insanely high damage with your Razor. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there are going to ask, what if I have a 5-star weapon? What if I get really lucky as a free-to-play player, or maybe I'm not a free-to-play player, whatever it is. If you have the Unforged, Wolf's Gravestone, Skyward Pride, if you have any of these weapons, they're always going to be better than any of the other 4-star weapons, because they either have crazy high attack bonuses from percent attack like the Unforged or the Wolf Gravestone. They all have higher base attack, which makes them even better. You're just never going to beat out that high base attack. And even like the Skyward Pride, who is actually incredibly powerful for Razor as well, with energy recharge you don't really care about. It has even the highest base attack of all great swords in the game, of all claymores, and the proc on it is ridiculous. Think about it like the proc like from the Snow Tomb Starsilver, or the prototype Archaic here, except it procs at 8. When it procs 8 times in a row, and it does the Whirlwind Blast, and it's very strong. Those are physical damage as well, and that's going to be his weapon. If you have all of the stats ready to go, you have big attack bonuses, all the support, that's going to be his weapon to go for, because it benefits from Superconduct, it benefits from physical damage up, it can crit, it does crit damage as well. It's extremely powerful. So make sure you're utilizing that stuff as well, guys. If you have access to that, forget all your 4-star weapons and just go for that one. Outside of that, it doesn't really matter what talents you have or ascensions, what weapon you want to choose, because of those, none of those really factor in. The weapons that you want to use are just going to be the weapons you want to use. because those weapons are strong. With that being said, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the little debut of Razor in 1.2. It is an incredibly powerful weapon for him. There's no reason, though, if you've already put work and love and effort into the prototype weapon, that you need to drop it and go to the Snow Tomb Starsilver. It's really not that much better, and in some circumstances it could be a little bit worse, right? Especially if you are on that weapon. You never proc the crowd damage bonus. It's a huge damage increase, 80% to 200%. That's massive. That's almost 2.5 times the damage that you're missing out on, and it can be incredibly hard to do on a lot of enemies, right? Maybe there's enemies that you can't put cryo on. Maybe you're fighting fire slimes or dendro slimes or whatever it is in the abyss, or Fatui. You can't do it. You're not gonna get that damage bonus. Whereas the prototype weapon, just gonna slam them for the full amount whenever it procs. You don't have to think about it. Easy play style. Good to go there. So with that being said, thanks for coming and checking it out. Have fun out there. I want to see your smiling comment faces down in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.